Welcome to InFocus Recouched. We've got a great program lined up for you today. We'll uncover the secrets of granny power, find out why you should exercise your toes, and meet a wealthy man who says money can be dangerous.
Okay, well, I think, Dora, that's probably a warning I'd like to test out for myself.
Yeah, some of us just have to learn the hard way, don't we?
Tragically, yes, I think so. First up, though, in all seriousness, it's been said that the world's second most profitable illegal industry is human trafficking. That's a pretty clear example of money corrupting people, I'd say.
Yeah, so let's check out this interview with the lady who's fighting back against human trafficking.
Welcome to the studio, Anita Kanaya. How are you, Anita?
Thank you, good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Now, Anita, you head up the anti-human trafficking project for an organisation called Oasis India. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. But I'm told that you don't spend a lot of time just sitting behind a desk worrying about logistics. You're actually out there, you know, in the community, on the streets. What are you doing exactly?
Well, in the anti-human trafficking program, we do three different things. We help prevent trafficking, which is we create an awareness in places where mostly women and girls are prone to being trafficked, which is rural areas or government schools where people aren't aware of the issue. But the other thing we do is we rescue girls and women who have been trafficked and who are being hidden in brothels or in buildings or being transported between one city to the other. So we work with the police, with the government to rescue these girls. And the third thing we do is help with rehabilitation, finding places for them to stay while we trace their homes and situations where they can be returned or reintegrated.
How does it come to your attention that there are, say, some young girls who are, you know, possibly being trafficked in a particular building or brothel?
Well, we have an investigation team, like a police team, because this is not a priority for the police in India. There are lots of other things like terrorism that they're involved in, and the police force is not large enough to cover this issue. So NGOs like ourselves run an investigation team where we have men who cultivate relationships with the underworld to find out from pimps who's being transported, where girls are available, and then we double up as clients or customers and we'll go in as a decoy customer to actually see the girl, because under the Indian rules we can only rescue a girl who is a minor below the age of 15. And
so you've got people going in undercover?
Yes, we do have undercover.
Wow. Is that a dangerous thing to do? Have you done it yourself?
I haven't gone in as a client because most of the people being trafficked are women and children, so the men go in as clients. But I have gone in on every single rescue that Oasis India has done in the last few years.
Is it a safe thing to do, like on the actual rescue? I mean, is there a lot of shouting and banging, and are the police involved at that point?
It is not safe. We go with the police, but the police don't carry arms. So they have like a bamboo baton that they carry at the most. We haven't had too many rub-ins with the mafia, but when we go in, we have to sometimes break down the door of the building, and we have to find the girls who most often are hidden immediately.
They know exactly what you're after.
Yes, they have purpose-built hidden places, like behind a mirror or a cupboard that exists in a wall, or a staircase that opens from a desk, a reception desk. And then you have to actually trace these places, or a button that, you know, opens a trap door. And then the girls are just shoved in the moment they hear us at the front door. So it is quite risky.
Yeah, boy, it must be. Can you give us an idea of the sort of numbers that you're dealing with? Like how many women and girls a month, for example, are you managing to trace and rescue, or a year?
Yeah, last year we rescued about 85.
85?
Yeah, girls.
Wow.
But I think compared to the numbers that are being trafficked, there are about 1.2 million children trafficked every year in India.
1.2 million?
Yes.
Boy, and what's the proportion of trafficked into the sex industry versus other industries?
I would think 60-40. 60% get trafficked into the sex trafficking industry, and about 40%, like you said, get trafficked into labour situations.
And where are these kids coming from? Neighbouring countries mainly, or where?
Well, a lot of the kids are sourced within India itself, so they traffic them from one state in India to another. But we're increasingly seeing Bangladeshi girls being trafficked into India and from Nepal as well.
I mean, so I guess some people might have this perception that, oh, you know, once a woman or a young girl has been trafficked, it's too late, and, you know, but you're rescuing these young women and rehabilitating them. What sort of success stories or what sort of difficulties are you encountering in doing that?
Well, I should say that we do have a number of times that the girl returns after being rescued.
To her home village or hometown, or suburb.
Returns to her home village and hometown. But sometimes from that situation, after rehabilitating them, they get re-trafficked. In fact, I think the number of cases of re-trafficking in India is quite high. And that's because I think options for them to stay in the places where they are from are very few. It's difficult to find employment.
Do they face a lot of stigma when they return?
They do face a lot of stigma. The Indian culture is a very shame-based culture, and therefore many of the people whom we rescue do not want us to tell family or neighbours or people back home where they were or what happened to them.
And in terms of, you know, you're a Christian yourself. Is Oasis a Christian-based organisation?
It is a Christian organisation.
What role do you see, you know, God having in keeping you strong, you know, personally in doing this work? Because it must be pretty heartbreaking sometimes.
I think the whole reason why I'm doing this work itself is because I realize that unless we're able to show these girls and these women that God still loves them. I remember we rescued this girl who was 3 months pregnant and HIV positive. The night we rescued her, she found out that she was HIV positive. She didn't even know that. And she really broke down, and the government home where we had taken her to wanted her to abort the baby. And I remember that we had given her a rose that night, and we told her that God really loves her. She went on to become a Christian after that because of counselling and prayer, and because she found such hope in the fact that despite what had happened to her, the abuse and how dirty she felt, she realized that there is a God out there who loves her, and that the image that He made her in, even though from outside it looked really blemished, from inside it was still the same. So that's the message that we want to take across, that no matter what, God can recreate out of the ashes or out of the ruin of their lives something new and something beautiful.
Wow, well, that's great. Well, thanks so much, Anita. I really appreciate your time. If you're interested in knowing more about the anti-human trafficking project that's run by Oasis India, one of your partners is Asian Aid in Australia, is that right?
That's right, yes.
And I understand if you go to the Asian Aid Australia website, you can see more details about that project, or perhaps even, you know, support it. We'd certainly encourage that. Hey, thanks so much for your time today, Anita. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wow, so gutsy. Just getting out there and taking on the human traffickers. It's just awesome.
Yeah, incredible. And I think the people she works with too, you know, they're pretty amazing too. It's a real team effort.
Yeah. Well, it's time for us to go to a break now. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a second.
We live our lives running around, rarely stopping to ask ourselves where we're going and what our final destination is. In the end, our lives become little more than routine. Step beyond and discover a path that offers comfort, love and hope. Visit hopeoffer.com/step beyond or call 1300 300 389 for your free copy today.
We're going to start with some soybeans. Use some chickpeas, an onion, you have a teaspoon of salt, slice some tomatoes, slice some cucumber, some red onion just to give it a bit of freshness. So just make little falafels like this. They just smell amazing. Let's make our tahini dressing. Let's get in some tomatoes, cucumbers, some falafels. Drizzle some of this lovely dressing. All you need to do is roll it up and you've got a delicious lunch for your family.
Hi, welcome back. Well, we all love our grandmas and grandpas, even if they do live far away or are no longer with us. But Trafford Fisher says there's something very important about the influence of grandparents. He calls it granny power.
Oh, granny power! Let's check it out.
Well, Traff, we've got one for the mums and dads today, haven't we? Where do we go as parents? We've got all of this conflicting information on the internet and magazines on how we should be a parent, what's right and what's wrong. Where do we find the answers?
Grandma.
Grandma.
There's an article that's just come out. I don't know how official it was, but it's worth a reflection.
Yeah.
A group of grandmas are invited to reflect on this whole parenting thing. And they said when we were parents, we didn't have all these resources. We turned to our own mothers or our own grandmothers or mother-in-laws, other mothers and friends.
Yeah.
And what they're suggesting is that according to the article, grandmothers are saying, there's so much emphasis on all these different resources, and they're great resources, but it's confusing, it's overwhelming, you know, and one says this and one says that, and so, as you said, where do we go in all of this? And they said, turn to us, we will help you, you know, we've got some good wisdom. So the grandmother's saying, look, we've got to get more confidence into mums. Mums are sort of losing a bit of confidence because they're not measuring up to all these expectations, so let's build some confidence into mums. I think that's worth listening to.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, it's so easy, Trafford, isn't it, to read something in the magazine and say, you know, this is the standard and these people are doing it very well.
Yeah, and if I don't do that, I'm a failure, I'm not going to make it. So it can be very discouraging.
Yeah, and what a great resource too for grandparents who are in a position now where, you know, often many of them will say, oh, if I had have known how fun it was to be a grandparent, I would have done it that way the first time, because of course they enjoy and hand back, so they're probably in a more relaxed place.
They've got a lot of wisdom, they've got a lot of, they've done the journey, and I think if they can, if grandmas, and granddads, of course, if they're available to parents, they can make a real contribution by being there, providing some of their wisdom and their reflections on life. And if mums and dads can call on grandparents, what a tremendous resource it can be. So I think it's about building resources. Of course, it doesn't mean that we building resilience through resources, but I think it doesn't mean we don't stop calling on the resources. We don't say, oh, well, I'm just going to switch all that stuff off, you know, and I'm not going to go to the web or get some books, DVDs. No, go after those by all means. But maybe run it by grandma first. Just see if it's going to be okay.
Sounds like some great advice, Trafford, going to the Granny Power for that one. So go grandmas. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Some big encouragements there for all those parents and grandparents out there. Granny power. Love it.
It's awesome. We'll take a break now. Back in a sec.
Father, I can't connect the dots through the little that I understand. What words can I say to reach you? How can I know that you are there, listening, hearing, caring? My words are broken, weak, and powerless. But I know your power is limitless. What can I say?
Planning your future can be a daunting task. What you want to do, who you want to be, and the road ahead can often be unpredictable. No one really knows what the future holds. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hi, welcome back. Now, I think we're all aware that as people get older, a simple trip or slip can be disastrous.
Yeah, it's a worry. But if you were thinking that the danger of fall just comes with the territory for an older person, well, Dr. James Wright has a simple tip to reduce the risk.
Nice being here. Good topic today.
Well, what have you got for us?
I've got a little story about falling.
Sure.
And would you believe it? Every year, 1 in 3 older people, that means anyone over 50, sorry James, will sustain a fall. And my story comes from the Harvard Health Letter, which comes from Harvard University, the world's epicenter of all the latest information, advice to what we mere mortals should be doing. And it points out the risk of falling.
Sure.
And it makes a few suggestions. Because if you fall, the risk of breaking a bone is very, very high.
That's right.
Particularly in older people, because older people just don't look after themselves quite as well. And they recommend, please be very careful. Have your feet examined every now and then. And as we get older, the sole of the foot, the fat pads thin, all the tissues under the foot, they thin and make the risk of balance, they reduce the risk of normal balance, and the risk of falling is much higher. So they suggest ideally, when you go to get some new shoes, just don't walk in and buy the cheapest off the hook or off the internet. Have your foot looked at, measured properly, and the shoe fitted properly, and if necessary, have orthotics, which are little things inside which maintain the arch of the feet, and that greatly reduces the risk of falling. Also, wear the shoes outside and wear the shoes inside the house also. We tend to kick them off because that way the proper architecture of the feet are maintained.
I remember Laura Ashley. Remember Laura Ashley, the great designer?
That's right.
Well, she died from falling, having a fall actually downstairs.
I know.
So it's not just a small thing when you fall. It's not just breaking a bone. People can actually die.
Become life endangering. Absolutely. So that's what they suggest. Have your shoes fitted properly, wear them all the time, wear orthotics if possible, and they also suggest some feet exercises. And they say get some marbles, or no marbles, put them on the floor and use your toes to try and pick them up. That exercises the toes. Also they suggest that get some rubber bands and wrap it around the two big toes, then try and stretch the toes outwards. Now this also helps to activate the muscles of the toes, which is a major part in the balance. So all these little simple things we can do ourselves. And also, as we've been saying for years, they've re-emphasised yet again, an oscil or a vitamin D tablet per day, at least one per day. Older people, one twice a day, because that helps to strengthen the bones, as we've been saying for the last 15 years. Or get some sunshine every day, 20-minute sunshine per day or half an hour per week, improves the calcium uptake, which means our bones are stronger. So
increases your bone density, and so if you do fall, I guess it's less catastrophic.
Absolutely. Well, we'd like avoiding falls, and you can do so much to help yourself. So please take care of your bones and get sensible footwear, even though it might cost a little bit more. That is maybe a life-saving measure.
Oh, what a legend. Keep those toes exercised, eh? I love it. It's kind of obvious, though, once someone points it out, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think my gym has any toe workout regimes, though. Maybe they should introduce one.
Well, there you go, gyms and health centres of the world. A free marketing tip from Dora, toe workouts.
Yeah, take it. It's all yours. Don't go away. We'll be back after this short break.
Looking back, I can see all those happy memories didn't happen by chance. I wish I knew then what I know now. I should have asked more questions, got more advice. I didn't realise how much you sacrificed. Now I'm a parent. I see everything you did for me. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back. Now, Dora, who sang songs about money? ABBA, maybe? Money, money, money in a rich man's world.
Jessie J, it's not about the money, money, money.
No, that song is not about the money. That's different.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to see an interview now with a man for whom money was not just a song lyric, but a reality. And it seems it didn't always make him sing.
Let's check it out.
Well, Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And I've got a rich man right in front of me here to tell us what that's all about. How are you, Julian?
Very well, thank you, Ken.
So, Julian, you've been very vulnerable in writing this book, which has the strange title of "Help, I've Been Blessed," which tells your story of being incredibly blessed financially, something we often don't like to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, it's been quite a journey, and 15 years ago I would never have thought that I would have had the spiritual battles that I've had over something that I thought was such a good thing. Yeah, blessings.
So what line of business are you in?
Look, I've been in a number of different businesses, but basically we've been in the olive industry for many years, and we've had a lot of different businesses. But I'm from I guess you would say, a serial entrepreneurial family where it's business after business, and we have short attention spans, so we go from one to the next.
All right, so just snatch and grab, make the money, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, build them up from scratch. Yeah. So scratch and grab almost.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, build them up and then move on to other things.
So how successful has this made you sort of able to retire at 40 sort of thing, or?
Yeah, retired in my 30s and
30s.
And got into a ministry called Faith versus Finance, and have been doing that ever since. Yeah.
Some people, they have this plan, you know, they're going to build up their finances, they're going to achieve certain goals, but they sort of get there, but they can't let it go. You know, there's the bug is bitten, and, you know, then you look at the guy with the Learjet and you think, well, you know, that's where I need to go next. Did you end up with a Learjet?
Didn't end up with a Learjet.
No.
We're very blessed in our family to have a very I guess we don't have a lot of interest in transport.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we're not into fancy cars and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, no, look, God blessed us beyond anything we would ever have expected. We were very blessed to be able to share a lot of that back into ministries and humanitarian projects and that sort of thing. But the funny thing is that even when that's occurring, even when you're involved in those things, when the money is there, it has claws. And Jesus knew that. You know, he knew that money has this thing about it that grabs hold of your heart. And as much as it might not be visible to anybody else around, because they might see just a good, upstanding church leader who's, in their eyes, doing great stuff, in my heart, I was really struggling because of the blessings that God had given me. Not the blessings themselves, but the way I had held on to them and had started, I guess you could say, worshipping the gifts instead of the giver.
Yeah, wow. I'm reminded of that verse in Revelation, you know, to the church of Laodicea, where, you know, God criticises those believers, saying, you know, you say I'm rich and I don't need a thing, you know, but you don't realise you're poor, you know, wretched, blind and naked. Is that the sort of situation you found yourself in, you know, sort of spiritually and internally?
Yeah, very much so. And of course, right, the very next verses, behold, I stand at the door and knock.
Yeah.
And my problem was that I could hear Jesus knocking at the door of my heart, but I had filled my heart with all the gifts, the career, the cars, the home, the holidays, the lifestyle, the pride, the appearance of having it all together. That's what I was really worshipping. You couldn't necessarily tell that looking at me, but deep inside my own heart, that's where, you know, I could see that and feel that. And I couldn't open the door of my heart to Jesus because of all the stuff cluttered up inside my heart.
Yeah.
So that had to go. That had to change.
Yeah. So what did you do? You know, what Jesus asked the rich young ruler to do, and give away all your possessions to the poor and follow him, or what was the solution for you?
Yeah, look, it's a process. My wife and I we're on what we call our road toward poverty. The road toward poverty. Not many people want to walk that road. Yeah. But basically, I had a heart attack, not a cardiac arrest.
Okay.
But after years of trying to clean out these desires for all this stuff from inside my heart, and never being able to get my heart fully clean, I came across Ezekiel 36:26, which says, I will give you a new heart.
Wow.
So it's not a matter of me cleaning my heart, it was a matter of me accepting a new heart.
It's called being born again, isn't it?
Born again, exactly, yeah. But of course, when you're an upstanding church leader, you don't want to admit that you need to be born again. You know, you've been baptised already. You know, how many times have you been baptised? Well, I learned that, you know, like Nicodemus, God is a God of second chances. And I thank him for that, because I was converted again. And that just totally changed our lives.
What difference did that make in regards to your attitude towards finances in particular?
A very much lighter grip on them.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, instead of holding on to them, just becoming a conduit that they could just flow through. So realising that, it gave me the realisation that we are blessed for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be a blessing to others.
Blessed to be a blessing.
Blessed to be a blessing. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've told your story here in your book. You know, help I've been blessed, which makes a lot more sense. You know, now that we've heard a bit about your story, you tell that story here in more detail, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a series of it's very light reading, but very biblical as well, because the Bible just goes on chapter and verse about the effect that affluence has on our spirituality.
Yeah.
And it really does have a significant impact on our spirituality. And deep down in our hearts is where we know that.
Wow.
It's yeah.
So have you been able to help other, wealthy people with this message through your experience, through your, faith versus finance ministry that sort of come out of these insights?
Yeah, sure. As I travel around, I talk in churches and run seminars and that sort of thing. The book also comes with video clips and small group discussion guides and all of that. But yeah, able to touch the lives of other people who are struggling with it secretly. Because I've come out and said, hey, I've battled this. Here it is. I lay it on the line. It's like a very open heart sort of story. People are then willing to open up themselves and say, look, I'm battling with it too. What can I do?
And do you have to be rich to get something out of this, Julian?
Not at all, no. And in fact, you just need to want to know what to do with the blessings that God has given you in life. And they don't necessarily need to be material blessings. There's many other blessings as well. But it's a good guide for helping people to draw nearer to Jesus, to have that second conversion if they feel like they've sort of wandered off the tracks a bit.
A really great guy, isn't he? And when we offered that book free to InFocus viewers, man, things got a little crazy.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that free book offer is over, but it kind of isn't, because you can get a free PDF of Julian Archer's book online when you subscribe to his Faith versus Finance newsletter. Just Google his name. It shouldn't be too hard to find.
Sounds like a plan. Well, that's it from us for this week. Thanks so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed the program.
All the best. God bless. We'll see you next time.
It's interesting watching people at an airport. You find yourself making a lot of assumptions based on some really superficial things. Take that guy there, for instance. I don't know what he does, but judging by how fast he's going, I reckon he's pretty important, or at least he thinks he is. We lead busy lives and we're proud of it. Ever asked someone how their day's going and got this reply? Yeah, flat out, real busy. It's like a badge of honor. No time for you, I'm on important business. At least that's what we tell ourselves. It seems all we want to do is get things done faster, because the faster something gets done, the less time we need to spend on it and the more we can cram into our day. And yet, the faster we move, the less time we have to rest. And the sad thing is, the faster we do move, the more we need rest.
To receive a free DVD of the documentary Beyond Burnout, visit hopeoffer.com/burnout or call 1300 300 389.